everybody. We are a second-year student at Al Qura University, College of Health Science and Health, majoring in public health. We present to you the Fungi from the Medical Microbiology course. Mycology is a branch of biology concerned with the study of fungi. Fungi are some of the most incredible and important organisms on the planet and have been throughout the history of the earth, possibly have been around for up to 1 billion years. Distinct from both plants and animals, fungi are their own separate kingdom with literally millions of species coming in all sizes and shapes. One fungi to next can be as different as a snake and giraffe. Although we might tend to think of mushroom when we think of fungi, this is actually only the fruiting body of the fungus. Some fungi are microscopic, invisible to the naked eye, while one fungus, the humongous fungus, is believed to be the single largest organism that exists by area, covering 2,200 acres in the US state of Oregon. For some people, the word fungus might stir up a negative connotations, and of course, some fungi can cause infection or disease, while others are poisonous. However, while the bad is often visible and obvious, fungi are very much a force for good as well. Fungi have played a key role in development of the world as we know it. They might not always be visible, and they are not usually something we think of as being all that important. But fungi are unseen cornerstone of their ecosystem, slyly pulling their strength behind the scenes, forging relationships with many other organisms, both alive and dead. Of course, it's not just plant the fungi interact with, as a human have a long history with fungi as well, whether it be as a food source or the yeast we need for our beer and bread, their medicinal purposes, pest control, and so many other uses. Fungi always have been there as an influential part of not just history of our plant, but human history as well, both for good and bad. General characteristic of fungi. Fungi are eukaryotic, non-vesicular organisms. They are typically non-motile. Fungi are heterophobic organisms. They obtain its food and energy from organic substance, plant and animal matter. The size of the nuclei of the fungus is very small. Fungi may be unicellular or filamentous. There is no embryonic stage for fungi. Some fungi are parasitic and can infect the host. Fungi produce a chemical called pheromone that is lead to sexual reproduction in fungi. Fungi obtain nutrients in 3 different ways. Sporophytic. These fungi obtain their nutrition by feeding on dead organic substance. Parasitic. These fungi obtain their nutrition by living on other living organisms, plant or animals, and absorb nutrient from their host. Symbiotic. These fungi living by having an interdependent relationship, association with other species in which both are mutually benefited. The structure of fungi. Fungi are eukaryotic. Fungi still contain a true membrane-bound nucleus. Fungi have a rigid cell wall external to the cytoplasmic membrane. Fungi cell wall contain chitin, which found also in the insect. Fungi have a membrane-bound organelles, such as mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, and the Golgi apparatus. Fungi can reproduce asexually and or sexually. Yeast usually reproduces sexually through budding process. Mold reproduces by producing large number of spores, and spores can be produced either from asexual or sexual reproduction. Asexual life cycle of mold: hyphal growth, spore formation, spore dispersal, spore germination. Fungi have caused many diseases over time, including nail infection, vaginal candidiasis, and others. Except that the latest is black fungus, also called moldy fungus or mucous membrane fungus. It has become very popular in the past 2 years. It is defined as a very rare infection resulting from exposure to mold that is usually found in soil, natural manure, and decomposing plants, fruits, and vegetables. Caused by different types of fungi. These fungi are called mucormycetes and belong to the scientific order Mucorrhizaceae. The most common species that cause mucosal disease is the Rhizopus species. Mold affects the sinuses, brain, and lung, and can be life-threatening for people with diabetes or people with severe immunodeficiency, such as cancer patients or people with HIV. In addition to this, the fact that an epidemic threatened the world, and compared to the corona pandemic, the rate of the spread of the black fungi has not reached the degree that make it described as an epidemic. As for symptoms, they are many and on several levels, include puffiness and protrusion of the eye, dark rest in the nasal cavities, headache, changed mental state, redness of the skin over the sinuses, sinus pain or congestion, sometimes coughing up blood, shortness of breath, stomach ache, diarrhea, vomiting blood, pain in the upper abdomen or back, Symptoms of black skin fungus include a single, sometimes painful, hardened area, and its center may be black. Now, after knowing the risk of infection, some may wonder if there is a cure for it. Black fungus disease can be treated in the early stages as soon as the fungus is discovered through the use of antifungal drugs such as amphotericin B, and doctor may resort to performing some operation to eradicate infected tissue or dead tissue to prevent fungus from spreading. And parts such as the eye and nose may be removed in order to preserve the patient's life and prevent the transmission of the fungus to the brain. Since prevention is better than a cure, the best way to prevent infection with black fungus is avoid abuse of steroid compounds, better control of diabetes, and early detection by increasing clinical awareness of early diagnoses that can prevent severe infection and death. Medicinal fungi. Those fungi that produce medically significant metabolites or can cause the production of such a metabolites using biotechnology. The range of clinically active compounds that have been identified include antibiotic, anti-cancer drugs, cholesterol inhibitors, psychotropic substances, immunosuppressive drugs, and even fungicides. Although initial discovery focused on simple molds of the type that cause food spoilage, later work was done on compounds useful across a wide range of fungi. Penicillin is one of the greatest medical discoveries in human history, and it is an antibiotic that can be obtained from the Penicillium mushroom. The accidental discovery of penicillin began when Alexander Fleming returned to his laboratory on September 15, 1928, after leaving a pot full of Staphylococcus bacteria without a lid for a period of time. When it came back, a layer of green mold formed on the surface of the pot and caused the disposal of all the bacteria that were filling the pot. In March 1942, Anne Miller became the first to receive a successful treatment with penicillin, which saved her from death after severe injury after an abortion. Here I come to the conclusion of this presentation. Praise be to God Almighty, and I hope that I have covered the entire topic of the research without detailing the narration or lengthening, and that I put the word in its correct place only. Thank you for listening. Preparing and presenting student غد الحضرياتي أسماء البجالي منار العيسى ليلى المهداوي. Supervised by Dr. Anas Dablur.